What's up, lords and ladies? Welcome back to another video on this channel. So in today's video, I decided to do a video on the common mistakes people make when keeping a bearded dragon. Now trust me, I've been there. I've owned bearded dragons for a little over 10 years, and in the process of course learning their behavior and every little tiny thing, I've made some mistakes as well. Now this video is not to just highlight my mistakes, it's to highlight the common mistakes people make, so don't be thinking that I'm up to no good with my bearded dragons. They've been chilling, you know. Now, I'm making this video because a lot of times around this time, because it's the holiday, some people might get new reptiles, and this way you guys could maybe avoid some of these mistakes. So with that being said, let's get started with this video. But before we go, needed to we gotta zoom in. Woo! You already know this was coming. Like, everyone who's new to my channel is like, what is going on? This guy's so handsome. God damn, don't mind the pimple, okay? You see this pimple? It wasn't here before, okay? I don't know what happened this morning. I woke up and there was a pimple on my face, but you know what? Even this pimple is spicy. Okay. Oh man, these zoom ins are gonna get me in trouble one day. One of these days, man. One of these days, these zoom ins. But with that being said, let's get started with this video. Let's go. But before we go, we gotta double zoom! Woo! You already know we gotta... Okay, I needed to do the double zoom. It was so much fun last time. Okay, so the very first common mistake I see a lot of reptile or bearded dragon keepers do is not being able to tell when their bearded dragon is sick. Now, this is something that of course takes a little bit of experience and a little bit of know-how to first be able to tell if your bearded dragon is sick or not, and the only way you're gonna really know is by seeing a sick bearded dragon and kind of comparing it. Now, I don't have any bearded dragons that are sick at the moment, but I do have this picture of a bearded dragon that I found online that is sick. Now, there is a few ways that you could tell. The very first thing is, of course, weight loss. If you see a rapid weight loss, whether it is on the fat pads or at the back of the tail, that usually means that your bearded dragon is going through something internally. It could be parasites, it could be multiple things. It might even be some sort of bacteria in the stomach causing your bearded dragon not to want to eat. So definitely consult with a vet if you start seeing a extreme weight loss for your bearded dragons, or if you start seeing your bearded dragon acting a little bit different and not eating. I am no vet, but I do have a lot of experience by taking my bearded dragons to the vet, so I can only tell you based off my knowledge. So if you guys do have any questions, message me on Instagram. But if you guys do have any questions, message me on Instagram. I'll see what I could help out with, but I'm always gonna end the conversation with, if you need any more further assisting, take it to the vet, because that is the right thing to do. Now, let's say you're getting a bearded dragon for the first time and you don't know whether or not the bearded dragon is sick or not, because this right here is a very, just one example of a sick bearded dragon. So another example would be if your bearded dragon or the bearded dragon you're getting is very sleepy. Now, most bearded dragons go through a phase of brumation when the temperatures start to drop. Now, for me, none of my bearded dragons go into brumation because my temperatures stay at a consistent temperature throughout the year. Now, this is just my choice. I find my bearded dragons to thrive a lot more because of this, simply because when they go into brumation, they lack food, they also sleep a lot, and they lack a little bit of temperature. If my bearded dragons were going into brumation, I will allow it, but since none of them are, I kind of keep my temperatures at a consistent temperature. And if you really think about it, my bearded dragons are healthy throughout the year because they have a ton of food, a lot of heat, and also a lot of hydration, and of course a lot of light. So that is one of the reasons why my bearded dragons don't brumate, because they don't have to. In the wild, they might have to brumate because the land and everything is starting to die down and the food is very scarce. So to kind of survive through the winter, they go into this hibernation state. If you are looking into getting a bearded dragon, you don't necessarily have to brumate your bearded dragon, but if you really want to, that is all on you, but I would really highly recommend you guys do a lot of research on brumation before you actually do it. Now, an adult bearded dragon is usually the ones that go into brumation. So if you're buying a hatchling or a juvenile bearded dragon and it's already starting to brumate, maybe there's something else going on, and I would definitely consult with a vet if that is the case, because sometimes parasites, or even if the bearded dragon is sick, it's gonna start to act a little bit lethargic. So you definitely need to pay attention to that. A hatchling bearded dragon should not be brumating. It should be active, it should be eating, it should be hunting down food inside of the enclosure and basically acting like a crazy little tiny lizard going back and forth in the enclosure. So if your bearded dragon is super lethargic straight off the bat, there might be something else going on. Most of the times, unfortunately, it is due to parasites. Now, I do want to make a video in the future talking about parasites, as I have so much drugs. Okay, so I have all these like medications that throughout the years I've used for my bearded dragons to treat certain things. Now, mind you, I've been keeping bearded dragons for a little over 10 years. So even though I have all of these, I haven't used them in a really long time. So hopefully I can make this video and educate you guys, or give you guys some tips on how to properly give medication to your bearded dragon. Now, another common mistake that I see a lot of keepers do is water inside of the enclosure. Now, there is a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Of course, your bearded dragon or any reptile that you own needs water to survive. So I'm not saying take away the water, but definitely look to see where you're keeping the water. If you're keeping it underneath the hot side, or near the heat lamp, it's gonna cause the water to evaporate and cause a lot of humidity inside of the enclosure. Now, bearded dragons do tolerate a little bit of humidity, as they are a very hardy reptile to keep. However, they can be very sensitive to high humidity and actually get sick by getting a respiratory infection. Maybe even mold builds up inside of the enclosure, and they might eat it, or something might happen where the humidity is way too high inside the enclosure and your bearded dragon gets sick. Now, a way to tell if your bearded dragon has a respiratory infection is if you hear coughing. Now, usually a respiratory infection is a buildup of mucus inside of the lungs, and they basically want to cough it out as it irritates them. It's almost like us when we get a cold, but for them it could be very bad because they don't have the immune system me and you guys, or you have. So these guys go through a lot, and most of the times you only have a short period of time to actually take action and do something about it. So if you hear your bearded dragon coughing, or see mucus inside of the enclosure, or even a lot inside of the mouth, definitely take it to the vet immediately and get it checked out. I haven't seen too many of you guys send me messages about respiratory infection, so I'm not too concerned on that, but I know it happens because of humidity, as I've seen it. I've seen respiratory infections in my ball pythons that I've had to treat. If you guys are keeping a bearded dragon, definitely keep the humidity low. Now, something I like to do in the mornings is, of course, mist the bearded dragon salad. Of course, I always use a mister, or I even use a water droplet by putting water right on the face of the bearded dragon, so that way they could get some water. And I do keep a small water dish in there. That way, if they do need water, they will drink from it. But in the summertime here in Canada, it gets really humid. So normally I actually take out the water dishes and leave nothing in there. But every morning and every afternoon, I'll go in there and give them water by using a spray bottle right around their face or in their mouth. That way they could have some hydration. But most of the times they get a lot of their water source from veggies. So definitely make sure you're always feeding them fresh veggies all the time. Now, a common mistake that I see first-time bearded dragon keepers do is actually keep the wrong temperatures. Now, I've made even a song about this. If your bearded dragon get no heat, get no heat, or something like that. No heat, it won't. Oh man, I didn't even know the song. I even know my own song. What in the world? But basically, if your bearded dragon gets no heat, it won't eat. And I stand behind that because oftentimes I see a lot of people maybe not have the proper temperatures, and it's not so much their fault. Of course, you know, everyone learns at a different pace. For me, it took me some time for me to understand that they need heat. And I mean, they really need heat. So if you are keeping a bearded dragon, make sure that your temperatures are about a little bit higher than 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That way your bearded dragon is always active. Now, it's also very important that you keep it consistently. So many of you guys who own reptiles obviously already know that's the importance of keeping the proper temperatures, but the consistency is also important. So for bearded dragons, I actually have a timer that basically turns on the light and turns it off every 12 hours. Now, a question that I've been getting is, do they need heat at night? Depending on where you are, here, because we have house heaters installed in the floors, I don't even know how it works, but basically the whole house has heat, and I don't need basically heat at night for my reptiles. I do like to give them a very dark time, just like you guys who like to sleep in the dark. Bearded dragons love to sleep at the dark, so you can use some sort of heat, like this heat bulb right here. You could use this if you are living in a colder climate. However, I would highly recommend you guys to get a space heater inside of your reptile room or inside of your bedroom. That way the ambient temperature is very consistent and your bearded dragon could get heat and could stay warm based off just the ambient temperature. Now, another common mistake that I've seen is not keeping your reptiles clean. Now, of course, everyone knows the importance of keeping your reptiles clean, but for bearded dragons, because they're very active and they do love to eat their crickets and their superworms, if you keep your bearded dragons a little bit on the dirtier side, if you introduce some sort of insect, the insect will walk around, maybe even step on some poop, then your bearded dragon eats the poop, and that is a really bad way of your reptile getting parasites or getting some sort of bacteria that shouldn't be inside of their system, because it's basically eating its own poop, and that is not good. So definitely make sure that you clean. There's a lot of good cleaners out there. I like to use chloric hexadine, as it's a vet disinfectant. I basically go in there, take everything out, spray it down, clean it, and then I spray it and let it dry on its own, and then I'll go in there and wipe it down and make sure that it's all clear. Now, that is just me being extra. Of course, if you're keeping a bioactive type of enclosure, it might be a little bit more trickier, but definitely make sure that your bearded dragon isn't eating its own poop, because that is a bad way for your bearded dragon to get parasites. I can't believe I'm making this video basically saying, hey, make sure your bearded dragon isn't eating poop, but it's definitely a thing. It's definitely something that you need to take in consideration, as sometimes, you know, we might not, it's not that we don't care about cleaning, we might just forget, and we might put some, you know, crickets in there and we forget there was a little tiny poop in the corner. Crickets go there, walk all over it, and next thing you know, your bearded dragon's eating poop. Man. I want to put this at the beginning of the video. Now, I wanted to make this quick video to mostly kind of throw some information out there, as I'm kind of working on a playlist just for bearded dragons. That way, any of you guys out there who are either owning bearded dragons and want to learn a little bit more about keeping them, or are new into getting into I said into way too many times, are new into getting bearded dragons, might learn a thing or two by watching these videos on the playlist. But I'm currently just throwing videos out there about bearded dragons. But let me know in the comment section down below what other reptile you guys would like for me to make a video about, because lately I've been throwing bearded dragons at you. So with the letter B, and I mean with the letter B, if you're the real one, you made it this far in this video, put the letter B and then put your comments, and then put the reptile that you would like to see me make a video about. Maybe I do this type of video just to throw a quick informational type of video out there. I don't even know if informational, oh my god, I'm making so many bloopers right now, but I'm just gonna go with the flow. But I definitely need to either take a nap or just basically go wind down. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, be sure to give it a thumbs up because it really does help on this channel, you know, to boost it and give it all that YouTube love, basically. So if you guys do love this channel and want me to continue making videos like this, show the support. Be sure to share this with someone, hit that post notification button, and subscribe if you haven't. I'm Lord of Lion, keep the blood pumping, and I'll see you guys. Of course, my camera just dies when I'm like, I'll see you guys in my next video, and it just dies. Wow, today is not my day. But I'll see you guys in my next video.
Here we go.
Peace.
You gotta hit that notification, hit that notification, hit that notification button, baby. You gotta hit that notification, hit that notification, hit that